Hey, it's Webs here with a new Hearthstone Standard video. This time I did something a little bit different than I normally do when it comes to this. I actually made a poll to see which version of a deck that you guys would rather see. The choices were between a Vanndar version of this deck or a Renathal version, and a Vanndar actually won out in the end. Both versions of the deck had a very similar win rate, which is the reason why I was willing to do a poll like this, and I thought it was a really cool way to get some viewer interaction, and I think I'm going to be doing some of these polls in the future for other ideas too, just to get a general feel of what people actually enjoy to watch, or maybe if I have a similar case to this and I want to see which version people rather see again. So basically, we are playing Vanndar Big Paladin with Frontlines as the key card within the deck. Frontlines was a card that I really wanted to use since the mini set came out, and I just had enough time to do it now. Turns out this deck actually is pretty good, especially in the current meta game, and it had around a 60% win rate across the 20 games I played with this variant, and around a 60% win rate with the other variant that I actually played too. So overall, a very good deck if you actually want to play a paladin style of deck. One warning I need to give about this variant of the deck, however, is you run out of steam very quickly if you do use both of your front lines, but most of the time if you use both, you are just going to be winning the game anyways, so it doesn't matter too much. For the Mulligan guide of the deck, you're basically looking for early game removal tools such as City Tax, Equality, Concentration, or Vanndar Stormpike to keep in your opening hand. Cavalry Horn is really good to keep in your opening hand too, mainly because of the fact that you can just drag whatever big minion you want to on turn 6. If you see a Barbaric Sorceress, then you can actually keep a front lines in your opening hand, but if you don't see these two in combination with each other, just mulligan both of them away. And finally, Vitality Surge and Holy Mackerel are really good to keep in your opening hand if you know you're going to take a bunch of damage and you need some spot healing so you can actually survive. With that all being said, let's look at some games. Alright, time for a game against Hunter. We're probably going to want to keep the Cavalry Horn plus the Lieutenant, just given the fact that, oh, I guess we can mulligan away the Lieutenant too. If we kept the Lieutenant, we would have had a really good target for the Horn, though the Barbaric Sorceress is a little bit annoying to have in our hand. We don't really want to get it necessarily off of the Horn, and they're actually questline. I guess that deck has made a resurgence recently, so makes a little bit of sense, I guess. Okay, they're going to put down a Hunter's Secret. We're just going to use our reinforcement. Now, technically, if we use the Cavalry Horn and then the follow-up turn we use the Barbaric Sorceress, we in theory could get the front lines out really quickly, which would be really cool. Because I'm assuming they're going to be mainly spells, thus they'll have a bunch of cheap spells in their hand. Okay, so they're just going to use Quick Shot and attack our face. That's perfectly fine. We do have enough healing, so we should be able to out-heal them. It also depends on what we top deck. There's the second to the fronts. I wouldn't want to actually see the second to the fronts this early, but it is what it is. We can't do much about it, so. We did draw into Vanndar, which is actually a good turn for play. Well, we're just going to put down Vanndar. Then we can coin out a Vital Surge just to heal up a little bit. Drawing into the Lieutenant is actually pretty good. Okay, they're going to play their hero card, get 2 additional secrets. Now we just have to figure out what those 2 secrets are. We can put down the Lieutenant, then just pass the turn, killing their minion, having a Lieutenant on board in case they complete their quest line here. Okay, they're going to play another secret. Well, we can use Equality to try to trigger that. Then attack with Vanndar. Hoping that was a, well, not a explosive trap, but a freezing trap. But I guess they had two types of explosive traps. They're going to be able to play their questline reward next turn, probably. We're just going to attack, eat their minion. Okay, so they are going to kill our minion, which is sad, but it's fine. Okay, Barbed Nets doesn't actually do damage to two things, which is also fine. They actually won't be able to play their questline reward this turn, which is good for us. Does give us the opportunity of using Barbaric Sorceress to try to lower the cost of anything here. And they actually had no spells in their hand. Or at least spells that are equal to 3 or less, I guess. That's going to get the Leviathan out. Then we're just going to hero power and pass the turn back. Well, we do have to the fronts next turn if they don't kill all of our minions. And it should be a very juicy to the fronts too, because it should have a bomb and some brass wings, which is pretty good. Okay, Brand Bronzebeard. Oh, that is a card that I was not expecting. Okay, so we need some healing this turn or we lose. City Tax actually does it. Clears out the entire board. Let's see what we get here. I'm going to attack with the 1/1 first, because if it is Freezing Trap, I don't want to deal with it. And it was. Okay. Now we have a dead card, but that's fine. Going for the City Tax, probably. We don't have enough mana to use Protect the Innocent, so not even going to worry about it. We just have to hope they don't have too much damage in their hand. Luckily for us, though, they actually swapped out their hero power before they completed the questline reward, which means they don't get a bunch of free face damage unless they generate hover, and it doesn't look like they're going to generate hover. They're going to play their questline reward. We need a real big Hail Mary next turn, probably. Oh, they do generate a hover. Okay, so we're back to 1 HP. Holy Mackerel Roll is the perfect top deck, along with Cariel. I know this will only heal for 2 or 4, but that should put us out of lethal range, and we also do have the armor. I'm just going to make sure we are out of it. I don't want to risk it. And we can attack into their minion and then attack into their other minion using the Leviathan, killing it, and then we just have to win a top deck war against Questline Hunter, which shouldn't be that hard to actually do. We do have enough healing in the deck that we should be able to just draw into it pretty quickly here. The Primordial Defender is actually a lot worse now that both of the front lines are in our hand, but it is really funny if you can get a Caligos off of it. Doesn't happen often, but when you can, it is incredibly funny. They really did screw themselves over by using Tavish halfway through their quest line. Okay, they're going to get real close to killing us again. Brasswing is perfect here, because we can use Brasswing and Consecration to heal for 8. Or we could just attack into the minion. Be dumb. Going for the Captain, attacking into the other minion, going face. And then putting down a Primordial Protector to see if we can get anything cool. Well, that actually works pretty well for end of turn effect. And it also does keep us alive if they don't have a way to get past it. And I think they're just going to give up here. Okay, time for a game against Warlock. Ooh, the Cavalry Horn is actually pretty good, especially with a Vitality Surge. Not going to want to keep the Barbaric Sorceress. Getting a second Surge is actually pretty funny. Templar Captain is actually a pretty good card to get off of the Horn if we really need to. Okay, they're going to shuffle in their Viper. Little do they know that we actually need our weapon. Actually, I guess this would be one of the matchups where you wouldn't mind keeping that in your hand. Okay, they're going to draw a card because of Mortal Coil. They can't possibly have a second one, right? Let's just put another recruit up. Okay, so they're Curse Warlock. Brasswing is pretty nice. We can heal one just to heal one. I'm not too worried about the amount of damage that they can do. If this was Warlock, then I would be worried about actually healing with those, but this should be perfectly fine. Because we should be able to use the horn next turn, which in theory should get the Leviathan out of the deck, or the hand. Primordial Protector is really good, especially because we do have a lower cost minion, though it would have only been a 1 in 4 chance of actually getting it off of the horn, but knowing my luck, it would have always been the Primordial Protector. I don't know how many games I played where it always dragged that, even though there were 3 or 4 other options in my hand. Okay, they're going to draw 3 cards. I'm perfectly fine with them doing this. Do a little bit more face damage. We can kill the minion. We can replace our horn actually here instantly. We probably should have actually attacked their face there just so we could dredge something from the bottom of the deck, but oh well. You live and you learn. The plus side here though is by the time we can actually attack with the second horn, the Primordial will actually be online, which means we can actually just place it down before we actually use it. So we're actually in a pretty good position, even though our hand looks a little bit bricky. Okay, they're going to use Mortal Coil and then drag below. We're going to start to want to heal up a little bit. I don't like taking a bunch of damage off of their curses, but it's better than it being some type of aggro deck. There's a Holy Mackerel roll. We can attack into the 3/3, go face, see what we can dredge. Vanndar is actually pretty decent, just because it means the Protector will be better suited, and then we can actually just heal here for 5 mana. Okay, there's another Fell Rift. Okay, they're going to use a school teacher, get something here. Okay, they got a Altar of Flame, which burns the 3 cards that I didn't want to burn here. Why did they have to burn Cariel? Out of all the things they could have burned, why did it have to be Cariel? I'm fine with Vanndar being gone, but Cariel is really nice in this matchup. Okay, let's use the Primordial Protector, see what we get. Oh, Caligos, that's actually really nice. Okay, so we're going to kill our minion, and then we are going to use front lines, get a bunch of minions out of the deck. Okay, so we're going to want to kill that. Probably should have attacked that with our weapon, but oh well. We don't have any space. We just have to hope we eat something really good here. We do kill the brand, so that's perfectly fine. And they just give up. Okay, time for a game against Druid. Oh, Vanndar in the opening hand is actually pretty cool. Doesn't actually happen that often. And honestly speaking, it doesn't actually matter too much. Which is the reason why I wanted to try out the Renathal version of the deck too. I like this one a lot more though, just because of the fact that you could get to the front lines really easily. Well, probably going to keep everything here. We could, in theory, trade away the city tax, but I have a feeling this is going to be Prester Druid because it is a 40 HP Druid, and what other 40 HP Druid decks really exist right now? Okay, they're just going to attack our face. We only need 1 more mana before we can actually use Vanndar. Well, we actually might want to... No. Dealing with that doesn't make a lot of sense. We can just let them draw an additional card. They have enough draw power in their deck. Sure, one card might matter a little bit, but getting Vanndar out as quickly as possible is probably the best solution. I could be completely wrong by saying that, but I do think that's probably the best solution. Okay, so they're going to coin out Talion. People are actually running Talion in that Druid deck. Interesting. I guess it makes sense as an additional way to get to your highest cost cards. But it does dilute the pool from you drawing into the hero card, which I don't know if it's actually worth it in that case. We're just going to attack into that, pop the Divine Shield. They're going to attack into it anyways. We do have the Brasswing for next turn, which is really, really nice. And they're going to increase the cost of everything we draw into by 2, which is going to be very frustrating to deal with. Oh, equality. Would have been nice if it wasn't increased by 2. Well, we can kill their Talion, giving them access to Prestor on turn 6, which is a little bit annoying, but they probably won't do anything else besides playing down Prestor, so not in a terrible position. Still would not want anything that I would top deck to cost 2 more, but... Oh, we could actually play the Leviathan, get rid of Prestor, and then just go face with Brasswing. Front lines is actually pretty cool. But I think Holy Mackerel might be the best pick here, or even Cavalry Horn. We do have a few 8-cost cards in our hand, and that is going to cost 7 now, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Probably should have went for the Holy Mackerel, to be honest. Okay, they're going to use Wrath. I'm assuming to draw a card. Oh, or not. They actually have 2 Wraths. Okay. This is an interesting build of that deck. Okay, Druid of the Reef gets rid of the big minion. I'm perfectly fine with that. We're probably going to want to put down the Cavalry Horn, attack into the minion, go face, see what we can draw into. Both front lines are at the bottom of the deck. That's actually the perfect location for them both. If I had to choose a place where they're to be, that would be the location, or even in the middle of the deck would work too. As long as we don't draw into it with the protector. Okay, so there's Nourish. I guess they're just a more ramp variant of Frustrated Druid. I guess it is a little bit hard to pass up if you can actually run that in a deck. Okay, there's Ysera. They'll AoE the entire board, getting rid of our 2 minions. The next turn we can replace them both with the Primordial Protectors that we have 2 copies of. Front lines. Dragging the other protector. This is what always happens whenever I have 2 protectors in our hand. There's so many other opportunities that it could have dragged out, but it shows the 1/3 chance instead of one of the other 2. I guess it is what it is, but it's a little bit frustrating. Okay, they're going to return the Sleeping Drake to our hand. Kind of ironic, given the name of that. We're going to buff up the Ysera to kill our minion. Dredge something from the bottom of the deck. Well, front lines is probably the best next turn play that we possibly could have. It will fill up our boards while ignoring most of their cheap minions. Actually, maybe it won't be the best solution. We could use equality plus city tax to get rid of everything. But I really kind of just want to do this. Because if we hit Epsilon, we're in a really good position. There's enough good targets in our deck. Okay, so they have a Brasswing themselves. Oh, Kazakis. I'm so glad we actually dragged that one out of the deck. Okay, so we're going to kill these 2. Druid doesn't really have any way to bounce back Kazakis anyways, and we can kill it with our Brasswing. So we're in a super good position, and we should just win next turn. Unless they have some way to deal with our entire board. I mean, they could have a Deathwing, I guess. Okay, they're going to use Amalgam of the Deep. Trying to get something here. The good news is they haven't played Guff, which means they don't have enough mana to actually play a Deathwing on top of the Amalgam. But if they generate a Kazakis, that could be a problem too. Okay, another Alexstrasza killing the Neptulon, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. They're going to use Sir Finley, see what they can get. Honestly, I probably would have used Sir Finley first, but it is what it is. I guess they had to risk it. That's not going to do them any good. And now we just win. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. This deck shocked me of how well it actually performed. I honestly didn't expect something like this to perform too well, but it makes a lot of sense. A lot of decks right now really struggle against a bunch of big minions, as most decks are really just aggro based, and a deck like this can cheat out big minions really quickly. If you're looking for a deck with a bunch of big minions and ways to actually cheat these minions out, this is the perfect deck for you, and it is actually incredibly good. It catches a lot of people off guard. So like always, if you enjoyed the video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.